So, hello, friends. I'm back with lecture number 11 of machine learning, and today we are going to understand the concept of regression. So, stay tuned with me in this lecture. Now, when we talk about a linear regression, it is a basic and commonly used type of predictive analysis. The overall idea of regression is to examine two things. One, does a set of predictor variables do a good job in predicting an outcome? That is called the dependent variable. Here, the outcome that you are getting is called a dependent variable. And second, which variables in particular are significant predictors of the outcome variables, and in what way do they, indicated by the magnitude and sign of the beta estimates, impact the outcome variable. Now, these regression estimates are used to explain the relationship between one dependent variable and one or more independent variable. The simplest form of regression equation with one dependent and one independent variable is defined by the formula y is equals to c plus b into x, where y is estimated dependent variable score, C is the constant, B is the regression coefficient, and X is the score on the independent variables. Right. Now, naming the variables, there are many names for a regression dependent variable. It may be called an outcome variable, criterion variable, endogenous variable, or regressant. The independent variables can be called exogenous variables, predictor variables, or regressors. So these are the the very different names that you can have for regression analysis. Okay. So here you can see the definition. So see, three major usage of regression analysis are: number one, for determining the strength of predictors; second, for forecasting and effects; and third, for kind of trend forecasting. Right. Now, first, the regression might be used to identify the strength of the effect that the independent variables have on the dependent variable. Now, typical questions are: what is the strength of relationship between dose and effect, sales and market spending, or age and income? Now, secondly, it can be used to forecast effects or impact of changes. That is, the regression analysis help us to understand how much the dependent variable changes with a change in one or more independent variables. Now, the typical question is that how much additional sales income do I get for each additional dollar thousand spent on marketing? This is kind of forecast effects. Now, the third question comes that regression analysis predicts trends and future values. The regression analysis can be used to get point estimates. A typical question here is, what will be the price of gold in 6 months? So, such type of questions where from a particular point of time to the after a specific duration in future, you need to know that what will be the effect after a particular duration, like after 15 years, what will happen for the fuel, or what will be the rate of gold after 10 years. So in such type of predictions, regression is the best analysis that we can put. Now, for the types of linear regression, we have basically so many types of linear regression. Now, one dependent when we talk about a simple linear regression, there is one dependent variable and one independent variable. So the dependent variable is the one which is depending on the independent variable, right? Now, for this, the other type of regression that we can have is a multiple linear regression. Now, in multiple linear regression, there is one dependent variable and two or more than two independent variables. Then the third category of regression can be logistic regression, where we have one dependent variable and two plus dependent variable. Then we have ordinal regression, which is having one dependent variable, which is ordinal in nature, and one or more than one independent nominal variables. Then we can have multinomial regression where one dependent variable is there and one plus independent variables can be there. And then lastly, we can have discriminant analysis where there is one dependent variable which is nominal in nature and there is one plus independent variable. Now, when selecting the model for the analysis, an important consideration is model fitting. Now, adding independent variables to a linear regression model will always increase the explained variance of the model. However, overfitting can occur by adding too many variables to the model, which reduces model generalizability. Occam's razor described the problem extremely well. A simple model is usually preferable to a more complex model. Statistically, if a model includes a large number of variables, some of the variables will be statistically significant due to the chance alone. So now we are going to see simple linear regression. Now, simple linear regression is used to find out the best relationship between single input variable, which are called predictor, independent variable, it could be input feature, input parameter, and the output variable, which are called predicted, dependent variable, or output feature or output parameter, provided that both variables are continuous in nature. Now, this relationship represents how an input variable is related to the output variable and how it is represented by a straight line. Now, to understand this concept, let us have a look at the scatter plots. Now, this is the scatter, it is a graph which is showing plots which provides a graphical representation of the relationship of the two continuous variables. Here you can see these are the scattered points that you are able to see. Now, after looking those scattered plots, we can understand the direction, the strength, and the linearity. Now, the above characteristics are between y and variable x, variable y and variable x. The above scatter plot shows us that the variable y and the variable x possess a strong positive linear relationship. Hence, we can project a straight line which can define the data in the most accurate way possible. Now, if the relationship between variable x and variable y is strong and linear, then we conclude that particular independent variable x is the effective input variable to predict the dependent variable y. To check the collinearity between variable x and variable y, we have correlation or there is a coefficient called correlation coefficient which is denoted by R, which will give you numerical value of correlation between two variables. You can have strong, moderate, or weak correlation between two variables. Higher the value of this correlation coefficient, higher the preference given for the particular input variable x for predicting output variable y. Now, few properties of this coefficient are, first of all, the range, which can be from -1 to +1. Then the second could be perfect positive relationship, which is +1. How can we denote its perfect negative relationship? It is with the help of -1. -1 denotes perfect negative relationship. And if we say there is no linear relationship among the two variables, we can denote it using 0. Then strong correlation. If you want to say that there is a strong correlation among these two, we can say that the value of R, the value of the coefficient should be greater than 0.85, which depends on the business scenario. So command used for this correlation, if you want to execute it on RStudio, you can use it using COR. COR is the command. COR, in brackets you can write capital X comma capital Y. So this will give you the correlation between the X variable and the Y variable. So here x will be independent variable and y will be dependent variable. Now if the result of the above command is greater than 0.85, then we can choose simple linear regression. And if the value of this R coefficient is less than 0.85, then we can use transformation of data to increase the value of R and then build a simple linear regression model on the transformed data. So what are the steps to implement simple linear regression? Let us just go through the steps that we can take up. Now, first of all, we need to analyze the data. How can we analyze? By analyzing the scattered plots for linearity. Second point says that we need to get the sample data for model building. Obviously, for building a model, you need to have sample data with you. So this is the second important, requirement for implementing linear regression. Now, the third step says then you need to design a model that explains the data. Obviously, we need to apply an algorithm and we apply or implement this model to explain that what the data is. And finally, we can use the same developed model on the whole population to make the predictions. We can apply this sample over the whole lot of data to see what all are the predictions that are made by this. So here we can use the equation that represent how an independent variable of x is related to dependent variable y. So the equation is y is equals to b naught plus b1 into x plus epsilon, where b naught is intercept calculated over dependent variable y, b1 is coefficient of independent variable x, and epsilon is a random variable called for error term, and average error is equals to 0. Hence the equation can be modified as y is equals to b naught plus b1 into x. So here you have seen that it is useful when we are applying this simple linear regression. It is useful for finding the relationship between two continuous variables. As I told you, one is known to be the predictor or the independent variable, and other is response or dependent variable. Now it looks for statistical relationship but not deterministic relationship. Now the relationship between these two variables is said to be deterministic if one variable can be accurately expressed by the other. For example, using temperature in degrees Celsius, it is possible to accurately predict what is the Fahrenheit, what is the temperature in Fahrenheit terms. So statistical relationship is not accurate in determining relationship between the two variables. For example, relationship between height and weight. With the help of height of some person, you cannot predict what will be its weight. Or with the help of weight, you cannot predict what will be the height of the person. So these are some kind of statistical relationship which cannot be taken up. So the core idea here is to obtain a line that best fits the data. The best fit line is the one for which the total prediction error, taking up all the data points, are as small as possible. An error is the distance between the point to the regression line. So let's take one real-time example where we have a data set which contains information about relationship between number of hours studied and the marks obtained. Now, many students have been observed and their hours of study and grades are recorded. This will be our training data. Goal is to design a model that can predict marks if given the number of hours studied. Now, using the training data, a regression line is obtained which will give minimum error. Now, this linear equation is then used for any new data. That is, if we give number of hours studied by a student as an input, our model should predict their marks with the minimum error, which is given by y, which is a predictor variable, is equals to b0 plus b1x, as I told you the formula earlier also. Now, the values for b0 and b1 must be chosen so that they, minimize the error. If sum of the squared error is taken as a metric to evaluate the model, then the goal to obtain a line that best reduces the error is, we can find out the error with the formula. Error is equals to summation of I is equals to 1 to n, total number of data samples, where you can, what you can do is for every n, for every I, you can do actual output minus the predicted output. So if we don't square the error, then positive and negative point will cancel out each other, right? And for model with one predictor, V naught is equals to Y naught minus V1 X. This is intercept calculation. We can calculate the interception, right? Now, exploring out this V1 coefficient here. So if V1 is greater than 0, then X, which is a predictor variable, and Y, which is a target variable, have a positive relationship, that is increase in X will increase Y. Similarly, if your value of B1 is less than 0, then X, which is a predictor variable, and Y, which is a target variable, have a negative relationship, that is increase in X will decrease Y. Now let us say we are exploring B0 now. What is B0 or B0? Now if the model does not include X is equals to 0, then the prediction will become meaningless with only being 0. For example, we have a data set that relates height and weight. Now taking X is equals to 0, that is height is 0, will make equation have only B0 value, which is completely meaningless, as in real time height and weight can never be 0. So this resulted due to considering the model values beyond its scope. Now, if the model includes value 0, then B0 will be the average of all the predicted values when X is equals to 0. But setting 0 for all the predictor variables is often impossible. Now, the value of B0 guarantee that the residual have mean 0. If there is no B0 term, then regression will be forced to pass over the origin. Both the regression coefficient and the prediction will be biased in that case. Now, coefficient from normal equations, apart from the equations that equation coefficients of the model that we have calculated from the normal equation, there is a theta coefficient also. So this theta contains coefficient of all the predictors, including constant term B0. Normal equation performs computation by taking inverse of input matrix. Complexity of the computation will increase as the number of features will increase. So it gets very slow when number of features grow very large. So efficiency get decreased, right? Now, how we can optimize this using gradient descent? Complexity of the normal equation makes it difficult to use. This is where gradient descent method comes into the picture. So partial derivative of the cost function with respect to the parameter can give optimal coefficient value. And we can have residual analysis in this also. Randomness and unpredictability are the two main concepts or components of regression model, where we can do it like this: prediction is equals to deterministic plus statistic. So deterministic part is covered by the predictor variable in the model, and stochastic part reveals the fact that the expected and the observed value is unpredictable. There will always be some information that are missed to cover. Now this information can be obtained from the residual information. Let's explain the concept of residue through an example. Consider we have a data set which predicts sales of juice when given a temperature of a place. Value predicted from regression equation will always have some difference with the actual value. Sales will not match exactly with the true output value. Now this difference is called residue. Residue plot helps in analyzing the model using the value of residues. It is plotted between predicted values and residue. Their values are standardized. The distance of point from 0 specifies how bad the prediction was for that value. If the value is positive, then the prediction is low. And if the value is negative, then the prediction is high. So 0 value indicates perfect prediction. Detecting residual pattern can improve the model. Non-random pattern of the residual plot indicates that the model is either missing a variable which has significant contribution to the model target, or it is missing to capture non-linearity using polynomial terms, or it could be there is no interaction between terms in model. Now, what all are the characteristics of a residue? See, first characteristic says that residuals do not exhibit any patterns. Secondly, Adjacent residuals should not be same as they indicate that there is some information missed by the systems. Now let us see. So here we can, after seeing all these things, we can sum up here is that in statistics, a linear regression is a linear approach to modeling the relationship between a scalar response and one or more explanatory variables, also known as dependent and independent variables. So the case of one explanatory variable is called simple linear regression. For more than one, the process is called multiple linear regression. This term is distinct from multivariate linear regression, where multiple correlated dependent variables are predicted rather than a single variable. In linear regression, the relationships are modeled using linear predictor functions whose unknown model parameters are estimated from the data. Now, such models are called linear models. Most commonly, the conditional mean of the response given the values of the explanatory variables or predictors is assumed to be an affine function of those values. Less commonly, the conditional median or some other quantile is used. Like all forms of regression analysis, linear regression focuses on conditional probability distribution of the response given the values of the predictors, rather than on the joint probability distribution of all of these variables, which is the domain of multivariate analysis. Now, linear regression was the first type of regression analysis to be studied rigorously and to be used extensively in practical applications. This is because models which depend linearly on their unknown parameters are easier to fit than the models which are non-linearly related to their parameters, and because the statistical properties of the resulting estimators are easier to determine. Linear regression has many practical uses. Most applications fall into one of the following two broad categories. If the goal is prediction, forecasting, or error reduction, linear regression can be used to fit a predictive model to an observed data set of values of the response and explanatory variables. After developing such a model, if additional values of the explanatory variables are collected without an accompanying response value, the fitted model can be used to make predictions of the response. Now, if the goal is to explain variation in the response variable that can be attributed to variation in the explanatory variables, linear regression analysis can be applied to quantify the strength of the relationship between the response and the explanatory variables, and in particular to determine whether some explanatory variables may have no linear relationship with the response at all, or to identify which subsets of explanatory variables may contain redundant information about the response. Linear regression models are often fitted using least square approach. but they may also be fitted in other ways, such as by minimizing the lack of fit in some other norm, as with the least absolute deviation regression, or by minimizing a penalized version of the least square cost function, as in ridge regression, which is L square norm penalty, and the lasso L1, which is norm penalty again. Conversely, the least square approach can be used to fit models that are not linear models. Thus, although the terms least square and linear model are closely linked, they are not synonymous. So, given a data set like we have y1, xi1 till xip of n statistical unit, a linear regression model assumes that the relationship between the dependent variable y and the p vector of regressors x is linear. The relationship is modeled through a disturbance term or error variable epsilon, which is an unobserved random variable that adds noise to the linear relationship between the dependent variable and regressors. Thus, the model takes the form of yi is equals to b naught plus b naught b1 x1 plus b2 x2 like this till n. Now, as I already told you that y is a vector observed value of the variable called regressant, endogenous variable, response variable, measured variable, criteria variable, or dependent variable. So this variable is also sometimes known as the predicted variable, but this should not be confused with the predicted values, which are denoted by y. The decision as to which variable in a data set is modeled as the dependent variable and which are modeled as the independent variables may be based on presumption that the value of one of the variables is caused by or directly influenced by the other variables. Alternatively, there may be an operational reason to model one of the variables in terms of the others, in which case there need be no presumption of the causality. Now, when we talk about X, it may be seen as a matrix of row vectors Xi or of n-dimensional column vectors Xj, which are known as regressors, exogenous variables, explanatory variables, covariates, input variables, predictor variables, or independent variables. It should not be confused with the concept of independent random variables. Now, the metric X is sometimes called the design matrix. Usually, a constant is included as one of the regressors. In particular, xi0 is equals to 1 for I is equals to 1 to n. The corresponding element of beta is called the intercept. Many statistical inference procedures for linear models require an intercept to be present. So it is often included even if theoretical considerations suggest that its value should be 0. Some of the regressors can be a non-linear function of another regressor or of the data, as in polynomial regression and segmented regression. The model remains linear as long as it is linear in the parameter vector beta. The value xij may be viewed as either observed value of the random variables xj or as fixed value chosen prior to observing the dependent variable. Both interpretations may be appropriate in different cases, and they generally lead to the same estimation procedures. However, different approaches to asymptomatic analysis are used in these two situations. Beta is a p plus 1 dimensional parameter vector where b naught is the intercept term if 1 is included in the model, otherwise beta is p dimensional. Its elements are known as effects or regression coefficients, although the latter term is sometimes reserved for the estimated effects. Statistical estimation and interference in linear regression focuses on beta. The elements of this parameter vector are interpreted as the partial derivatives of the dependent variable with respect to the various independent variables. Now, epsilon is a vector of values epsilon I. This part of the model is called the error term or the disturbance term, or sometimes it is called noise, in contrast with the signal provided by the rest of the model. This variable captures all the factors which influence the dependent variable y other than the regressor's x. The relationship between the error term and the regressors, for example, their correlation, is a crucial consideration in formulating a linear regression model, as it will determine the appropriate estimation method. Fitting a linear model to the given data set usually requires estimating the regression coefficient beta such that the error term, where epsilon is equals to y minus x beta, is minimized. For example, it is common to use the sum of squared errors as a measure of epsilon for minimization. Now, what are the assumptions here? See, standard linear regression models with standard estimation techniques make a number of assumptions about the predictor variables, the response variables, and their relationships. Numerous extensions have been developed that allow each of these assumptions to be relaxed, that is, reduced to a weaker form, and in some cases, eliminated entirely. Generally, these extensions make the estimation procedures more complex and time consuming, and may also require more data in order to produce an equally precise model. The following are the major assumptions made by standard linear regression models with standard estimation techniques. Weak exogeneity. This essentially means that the predictor variables x can be treated as fixed values rather than random variables. This means, for example, that the predictor variables are assumed to be error-free, that is, not contaminated with measurement errors. Although this assumption is not realistic in many settings, dropping its lead to significantly more difficult errors in variable models. Now, linearity. This means that the mean of the response variable is a linear combination of the parameters and the predictor variables. Note that this assumption is much less restrictive than it may at first seems, because the predictor variables are treated as fixed values. Linearity is really only a restriction on the parameters. The predictor variables themselves can be arbitrarily transformed, and in fact, multiple copies of the same underlying predictor variable can be added, each one transformed differently. This technique is used, for example, in polynomial regression, which uses linear regression to fit the response variables as an arbitrary polynomial function up to a given rank of a predictor variable. Now, with this much flexibility, models such as polynomial regression often have too much power, in that they tend to overfit the data. As a result, some kind of regularization must typically be used to prevent unreasonable solutions coming out of the estimation process. Common examples are ridge regression and lasso regression. Bayesian linear regression can also be used, which by its nature is more or less immune to the problem of overfitting. In fact, ridge regression and lasso regression can both be viewed as a special case of Bayesian linear regression with particular types of prior distributions placed on the regression coefficient. A constant variance. This means that the variance of the errors does not depend on the values of the predictor variables. Thus, the variability of the responses for given fixed values of the predictors is the same regardless of how large or small the responses are. This is often not the case, as a variable whose mean is large will typically have a greater variance than one whose mean is small. For example, a person whose income is predicted to be, 1 lakh may easily have an income of 80,000 on 1 lakh 20,000. That is a standard deviation of around 20,000, while another person with a predicted income of 10,000 is unlikely to have the same 20,000 standard deviation. since that would imply their actual income could vary anywhere between the rupees 10,000 and rupees 30,000. In fact, as this shows, in many cases, often the same cases where the assumption of normally distributed error fails, the variance or standard deviation should be predicted to be proportional to the mean rather than the constant. The absence of homoscedasticity is called heteroscedasticity. In order to check this assumption, a plot of residual versus predictor values can be examined for a fanning effect, that is, increasing or decreasing vertical spread as one moves left to right on the plot. A plot of the absolute or squared residual versus the predicted values can also be examined for a trend or curvature. Formal test can also be viewed or can also be used as, in this case, the presence of heterodicity will result in an overall average estimate of the variance being used instead of one that takes into account the two variance structure. So now at the end, we'll see what all are the applications of this linear regression. Now, first application can be the trend line. A trend line represents a trend, the long-term movement in the time series data after other components have been accounted for. It tells whether a particular data set have increased or decreased over the period of time. A trend line could simply be drawn by eye through a set of data points, but more properly, their position and slope is calculated using statistical technique like linear regression. Trend lines typically are straight lines, although some variations, use higher degree polynomials depending on the degree of curvature desired in the lines. Second application could be the epidemiology. So, early evidence relating tobacco smoking to mortality and morbidity came from observational studies employing regression analysis. In order to reduce spurious correlation when analyzing observational data, researchers usually include several variables in their regression models, in addition to the variable of primary interest. For example, in a regression model in which cigarette smoking is the independent variable of primary interest and the dependent variable is a lifespan measured in years, researchers might include education and income as additional independent variables to ensure that any observed effect of smoking on lifespan is not due to those other socioeconomic factors. However, it is never possible to include all possible confounding variables in an empirical analysis. For example, a hypothetical gene might increase mortality and also cause people to smoke more. For this reason, randomized controlled trials are often able to generate more compelling evidence of causal relationship that can be obtained using regression analysis of observational data. When controlled experiments are not feasible, variants of regression analysis such as instrumental variables regression may be used to attempt to estimate causal relationships from observational data. Then we can apply this regression in the finance part also, where the capital asset pricing model uses linear regression as well as the concept of beta for analyzing and quantifying the systematic risk of investment. This comes directly from the beta coefficient of the linear regression model that relates the return on the investment to the return on all risky assets. And similarly, we can use it in the economics model where linear regression is the predominant empirical tool in economics. For example, it is used to predict consumption spending, fixed investment spending, inventory investment, purchases of a country's exports, spending on its imports, the demand to hold liquid assets, labor demand, or labor supply. So, this is all about linear regression today. I hope you all learned the concept of linear regression, where we can apply it, what is the formula for implementing, how the line work out, how you're going to predict the errors, how you're going to predict the conclusion part. So now I'm going to stop this presentation. I'm going to quickly share with all of you the MCQ part, quickly try to answer all of them. So here are the question set. Now, question number one. Linear regression is a supervised machine learning model. What do you think? Is it true or is it false? Does regression comes under supervised learning model or not? So we have already seen this thing. I hope you'll be able to answer this question. Second says linear regression is mainly used for regression. I think you will be able to answer both of these questions. Just think about it. We have seen in the previous lectures as well. And just think and just ponder upon this and try to answer it quickly. Now, these are the next two set of questions. It is possible to design a linear regression algorithm using a neural network. What do you think? Is it correct or not? The next question says, which of the following methods to be used to find the best fit line for data regression? Least square error, maximum likelihood, logarithmic loss, or both A and B? Try to quickly answer. We have seen all these things. The next set of questions that we have, question number 5, which says, which of the following evaluation matrices can be used to evaluate a model while modeling a continuous output variable? Then we have next question, which says, true false lasso regularization can be used for variable selection in linear regression or not? Then we have question number 7 and 8. Which of the following is true about residuals? The lower is better, the higher is better, A or B depend on the situation, and none of these. So the question says, suppose that we have n independent variables and dependent variable is y. Now imagine that you are applying linear regression by fitting the best fit line using least square error on this data. So you found that correlation coefficient of one of its variables, say x1, with y is 0.95. So which of the following is true for x1? The relationship between both of these variables is v. Is it strong? Is it neutral? Or correlation cannot be judged with this relationship? So try to answer it quickly. We have seen the relationships as well. And the last question says, looking at above two characteristics, which of the following option is correct? Try to answer the question quickly. This is the last 10th question. Suppose Pearson correlation between V1 and V2 is 0. In such case, is it right to conclude that V1 and V2 do not have any relations between them? Is it true or false? So I hope you are able to answer all these questions correctly. In today's lecture, we have seen this linear regression as well. So keep on learning. And in the next set of lectures, I'm going to cover up more such machine learning topics with examples and MCQs. So keep learning and stay tuned. Thank you so much.